Welcome to our story today. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, and share this video so you don't miss any of our heartfelt stories. It was a rainy Tuesday morning in Willow Creek, the kind of day where the sky hangs low, gray, and heavy, like it's got secrets to spill. The air smelled of wet earth and promise, and the world felt hushed, as if waiting for something to happen. I was 54, living alone in a charming old house on Sycamore Lane, a quiet street where neighbors nodded politely but kept their lives tucked safely behind closed doors. My days were simple: gardening, reading, sipping lavender tea, but there was an ache in the quiet moments, a loneliness I didn't like to name. I was in my kitchen that morning, the kettle humming softly, staring out at my garden. The roses were drooping under the weight of the drizzle, their petals scattered like confetti on the grass. A half-eaten slice of apple pie sat on the counter, my attempt at comfort food. I was lost in thought, wondering if this was all life had left for me, when a sharp knock at the door snapped me out of it. I wasn't expecting anyone. My daughter, Claire, was off building her career in Chicago, and my friends were busy with their own lives. I smoothed my sweater, curious, and opened the door. There stood my neighbor, James Harper, a widower in his late 60s who lived 3 houses down. He was tall, with salt and pepper hair and eyes that crinkled when he smiled, though today he looked nervous, clutching a small, neatly wrapped box. We'd exchanged hellos over the years, maybe a word or two about the weather, but nothing more. "Morning, Nora," he said, his voice warm but hesitant, like he was testing the waters. "I hope I'm not intruding." "Not at all." "James," I said, offering a smile, "what brings you out in this rain?" He shifted his weight, glancing at the box in his hands. "I was at the antique market this weekend, and I saw something that made me think of you. It's just a small thing, but, well, I thought you might like it." He held out the box, his fingers brushing mine as I took it. I was stunned. Nobody had given me a gift out of the blue in years. "That's so kind of you," I said, my voice catching. "You didn't have to do this." He shrugged, a shy smile breaking through. "I wanted to. You've got that garden that lights up the whole street. Figured you deserved something nice." He tipped his head. "I'll let you get back to your morning. Stay dry. Nora, you too." I called as he turned and walked back into the rain, his coat collar turned up against the drizzle. I closed the door, my heart doing a funny little flip. The box was light, wrapped in soft blue paper with a ribbon tied around it. I sat at the kitchen table and carefully unwrapped it, revealing a delicate silver locket, its surface etched with tiny roses. Inside was a small empty space, waiting for a photo or a memory. It was beautiful, thoughtful, and it stirred something in me: gratitude. Yes, but also a spark of curiosity about the man who'd given it to me. Later that day, I decided to thank him properly. I baked a batch of my mother's cinnamon scones, their warm, spicy scent filling the kitchen, and walked to James's house. When he opened the door, his face lit up, and I felt that spark again. "Nora?" "What's this?" he asked, eyeing the plate. "A thank you," I said, handing him the scones. "The locket is gorgeous. I love it." "You didn't have to," he said, but his smile said he was pleased. "Want to come in? I've got coffee on." I hesitated, then nodded. His house was cozy, with hardwood floors, a worn leather couch, and a fireplace that gave the room a golden glow. A wooden cross hung on the wall, and a Johnny Cash record spun softly in the background. We sat at his dining table, sipping coffee and talking about gardening, old movies, the way the rain made everything feel new. It was easy, like we'd been friends for years, and when I left that evening, I felt lighter, like I'd rediscovered a part of myself I'd forgotten. That night, lying in bed, I traced the locket with my fingers, thinking about James. His gift wasn't just a thing, it was a gesture, a quiet way of saying he saw me. And I realized I wanted to know him, really know him. Can you let someone new into your heart after years of being alone? Tell me in the comments. The days after James's gift felt different, like the world had cracked open just enough to let a little light in. The rain stopped, and Sycamore Lane glowed under a crisp autumn sun. My garden seemed to hum with life marigolds blazing orange, lavender swaying in the breeze. Or maybe it was me, seeing everything with new eyes. James and I started finding excuses to talk. I'd catch him walking by and wave him over to admire a new bloom. He'd stop by with a thermos of iced tea, saying he happened to make extra. One morning, I was kneeling in the dirt, planting tulip bulbs, when I heard his voice. "Nora, you're going to make the rest of us look bad with that garden," he teased, leaning against my gate. I laughed, brushing soil from my hands. "It's not a competition." "James, come see these bulbs. They'll be stunning come spring." He stepped into the yard, crouching beside me, his flannel shirt rolled up to his elbows. He smelled of cedar and coffee, and I noticed the way his hands moved, steady and sheer, as he helped me dig. We worked together, talking about nothing and everything his years as a history teacher, my love for blues music, the way we both missed the simplicity of old country fairs. "You ever think about teaching me a thing or two about this?" he asked, gesturing to the garden. "I've got a backyard that's more weeds than anything else." I grinned. "Only if you promise not to complain when I make you pull those weeds." "Deal," he said, his eyes twinkling. His. The next day, he showed up with a pair of gardening gloves and a willingness to learn. We spent the morning in his backyard, clearing out overgrown patches and planting a small flower bed. It was hard work, but the laughter made it feel like play. As the weeks went by, our gardening sessions became a ritual. We'd meet a few times a week, sometimes at my place, sometimes at his, sharing stories over iced tea or apple pie. I learned he loved gospel music, that he'd lost his wife, Evelyn, to cancer a decade ago, and that he'd never thought he'd find joy again. One afternoon, we were sitting on my porch, the air thick with the scent of jasmine. James handed me a glass of tea, his fingers lingering on mine. "You know, Nora," he said, his voice low, "I've lived on this street for years, but it never felt like home until you started coming around." My heart skipped. "That's sweet of you to say." I managed, my cheeks warm. "You've made things brighter for me, too." He looked at me, his gaze steady. "I mean it. You're special." I didn't think I'd ever feel this way again. The words hung between us, heavy with meaning. I wanted to say something, but my throat tightened. Instead, I reached for his hand, and he squeezed mine back. We sat there, the world quiet except for the soft hum of crickets, and I felt something shift, a door opening to something new. Have you ever felt a connection that scared you as much as it thrilled you? Share your story below. Life has a way of throwing you into the deep end when you least expect it. For James and me, that moment came in late October when a storm swept through Willow Creek like a reckoning. The air had been heavy all day, the sky bruised with dark clouds. By nightfall, the wind was howling, and rain lashed against my windows. I was alone, lighting candles as the power flickered, when I heard a crash that made my heart stop. I grabbed a flashlight and my raincoat, my pulse racing as I stepped outside. The storm was relentless, the rain stinging my face, but I followed the sound to James's house. My stomach dropped when I saw it. A massive maple tree had crashed through his roof, splintering wood and shattering windows. "James," I shouted, pounding on his door. "James, are you okay?" The door swung open, and there he was, pale but unharmed, his hair damp from the rain leaking inside. "Nora," he said, his voice shaky, "I'm fine." But the house. I shone my flashlight into the living room. The tree had torn through the ceiling, debris scattered everywhere, rain pouring in. "You can't stay here," I said, grabbing his arm. "It's not safe." He hesitated, looking at the wreckage. "But my things? We'll come back for them. Right now. You're coming with me." My voice was firm, and he didn't argue. We grabbed what we could, a change of clothes, his wife's old Bible, a photo of Evelyn, and ran through the storm to my house. Inside, I handed him a towel and one of my son's old sweatshirts. "Go dry off," I said. "I'll make tea." By the time he came back, I had a fire going and 2 mugs of chamomile on the coffee table. He sank onto the couch, looking drained. "Thank you." "Nora," he said quietly, I don't know what I'd have done without you. I sat beside him, the fire casting shadows on the walls. You don't have to thank me. I'd do it again in a heartbeat. He looked at me, his eyes searching mine. You're something else. You know that these past months, you've changed everything for me. He paused, his voice dropping. I loved Evelyn with all my heart, but I never thought I'd find someone who could make me feel alive again. And then there you were, with your roses and your scones and that smile that lights up the whole damn street. My breath caught. James. He took my hand, his grip warm and steady. I'm falling for you. Nora. I don't know what that means yet, but I know I don't want to lose this. Lose you. Tears pricked my eyes, but they weren't sad. They were full of hope, of possibility. I'm falling for you too, I whispered. I didn't think I'd ever feel this way again either. He smiled, and it was like the storm outside didn't exist. We sat there, hands clasped, talking until the rain slowed and the first light of dawn crept through the windows. The storm had shaken us, but it had also shown us what we could be together. The morning after was crisp and clear, the kind of day that feels like a gift. James and I sat at my kitchen table, eating toast with peach jam and planning next steps. He'd call the insurance company, find a contractor. It was a mess, but we'd handle it. Together. Over the next few weeks, we rebuilt not just his house, but something deeper. We spent evenings on my porch, listening to Dolly Parton and sharing stories. He told me about his dreams of traveling to Nashville, and I admitted I'd always wanted to see the Pacific Ocean. We started talking about the future, about what it might look like to share a life. One chilly November evening, we were walking through Sycamore Lane, the trees ablaze with red and gold. James stopped under a towering oak, his hand in mine. Nora, he said, his voice steady but full of emotion. I've been thinking, life's too short to hold back. I want to be with you for all of it. The gardens, the storms, the quiet mornings. If you'll have me. Tears spilled down my cheeks, but I was smiling. Yes, James. I want that too. All of it. He pulled me close, and when he kissed me, it was soft and sure, like a vow. As we stood there, the leaves falling around us, I felt a peace I hadn't known in years. Life had brought us together in the most unexpected way, and I knew this was just the beginning. So, what's your takeaway? Sometimes, love finds you when you least expect it, and the smallest gestures can change everything. Have you ever found love when you didn't see it coming? Drop it in the comments and subscribe for more stories that hit straight to the heart.